Well, Dylan, it's going to be sunny, hot, and humid. Right now, though, really not what we're seeing. Still dealing with plenty of cloud cover. Might even squeeze out a sprinkle or two, but a lot of us are going to stay dry. This is a live look at NIU in DeKalb. Obviously seeing plenty of cloud cover, but luckily it's only on its way out. This large area of low pressure, you can even see that counterclockwise spin there. It's going to continue to move east out of northern Illinois. It's going to take with it any chance for rain, but also some of that cloud cover. So by the afternoon, we're actually going to transition to a little bit more sunshine. Thankfully, we're getting a break from some of that rainfall. In fact, taking a look back at the month of July, we picked up over 7.5 inches of rain. That makes it the 8th wettest month of July in Rockford in recorded history, so talk about a hefty amount. We do have some low chances for rain, but those hold off for just a little bit. Luckily today, we're only going to stay dry. That cloud cover is going to move on out. We turn sunny and back to that heat and humidity. Mid-80s for today, a little bit of a breeze. Overnight, we drop back into the 60s. We're mostly clear as we continue to see that sun even into your Saturday. And by tomorrow, we get awfully close to those 90s. If we don't make it there temperature-wise, that's what it'll feel like. Your dew points still in the 70s. Calmer winds. It's going to be a really great pool day, for example. And by Sunday, we're just a couple degrees cooler, if you will. You might not really notice a difference either because those heat index values are still going to be in the lower 90s. So still dealing with the heat and humidity, but that's something we've been talking about quite frequently recently. At least we talk about the dew point very often, and that's actually the absolute measure of how much moisture is in the atmosphere. When it comes to relative humidity, that's how much moisture there is compared to how much you can have. So it's a percentage and not the best measure of how much water vapor moisture we're talking about. Really, the biggest difference is how much there is. So when you take a look at these three examples, you have relative humidity at 50% for each of them. But notice the temperature climb. So at least comparing to how much moisture you can have when it's only 50 degrees, still about 50%. But notice your dew points in the 30s. That's something we consider fairly dry. The higher the temperature, the more moisture you can have in that column of air, meaning when your temperature is closer in those mid-90s, your dew point values are in the low 70s, but you're still only at about 50% for relative humidity. Looking at these two examples, to clear it up just a little bit more, you have 100% relative humidity in this cylinder, but only 50 here. But look at the temperatures, 94 degrees compared to 72 for your dew point. Which one you think is more humid? Well, it's actually going to be this one because you can still climb with that moisture versus where you're already capped out at 50 degrees there. So that's how we really know how much moisture there is and use dew point because it's a more exact measure. Speaking of, though, we are going to continue to see those uncomfortable conditions today through the weekend. Normally when we have dew points above 70 degrees, that's where you're going to feel uncomfortable, sticky, oppressive. But take a look at what happens next week. We end up dropping, your dew points fall in the 50s. We're a whole lot more comfortable. So if you're not a fan of the heat and humidity, the relief is on its way. In your most accurate 10-day forecast, we will start to see some lower chances for showers returning by Sunday. Those follow us into next week as we continue to drop in temperatures and, of course, the dew points, meaning we also turn more comfortable.